Welcome to The Word in 10, a podcast of Dwell Community Church. We're in the middle of a 4-part devotional series talking about heaven and setting our mind on the things above. And heaven might be one of the most misunderstood concepts in the Bible. It's been popularized like how David Lloyd George puts it when he said, "When I was a boy, the thought of heaven used to frighten me more than the thought of hell. I pictured heaven as a place where time would be perpetual Sundays with perpetual services from which there would be no escape." When you study Revelation 21 and 22, it shows that heaven is anything but boring. It is going to be the greatest thing we could ever conceive of. And so today, let's study Revelation 21 and 22, just a couple verses, and start to envision and imagine what the heavenly realm is going to be like. Starting in verse 1, it says, "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea." The phrase heaven and earth was a way of describing the entire universe. It was what God created originally, way back in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. Now, in Revelation 21, we have a new heavens and a new earth, a new universe. The Greek word for new here is the word kainos, which describes a qualitative newness rather than a temporal newness, which is the Greek word neos. What this seems to imply is that our world will be renewed rather than recreated. This is the same Greek word kainos used to describe Christians being a new creation in 2 Corinthians 5:17. What this means is that heaven is not up there in the clouds, but rather down here on earth. When you want to think about heaven, you don't think of an otherworldly experience, you just look around. Of course, people right now, when they die, they go to a different realm to be with God, but when human history has run its course, God is going to renew this earth and bring heaven here. And you can see the beauty of God's creation right now, even in this broken world we live in. Our world declares the glory of God, and you can see that in some of the beautiful scenery it provides. I remember a few years ago being in Italy and walking a path known as the Path of the Gods and having my breath taken away by some of the sights and scenery. This world, with all of its flaws, it is beautiful, and exploring it is so much fun. Now imagine this world, but without sin, without flaws, without natural disasters, and take the beauty we see and magnify it by thousands. When God comes here, he's going to renew this earth, and we're going to get to explore it. A lot of us want to explore the earth. We want to see things and see sights, and we fight for the time to be able to do so. When we get to heaven, we're going to have all the time in the world to do it. God is going to bring his glory down, and we're going to see this world the way it was meant to be seen. And while the earth is the centerpiece of God's abode, there's good reason to believe we'll be able to explore the entirety of his creation in the universe. I mean, after all, if we've made it to the moon and to Mars in our fallen state, how much more will we be able to explore in a perfected state? What would it be like to explore space, to see stars and other planets, maybe even other galaxies? Now, back in verse 1, it says that there was no longer any sea. This doesn't mean that there's no ocean or no water. Rather, throughout Revelation, the sea refers to rebellious humanity, as is stated clearly in Revelation 17, verse 15. In heaven, rebellion won't be a thing anymore. We won't sin again. We won't just have a flawless world. We will be flawless people. Those around us will be flawless. We will have pure joy in our relationships. Imagine a world without relational conflict. This is reaffirmed in chapter 22, verse 3, where we read, "No longer will there be any curse. The throne of God and of the Lamb will be in the city, and his servants will serve him." The idea of a curse, this harkens back to Genesis 3 when sin entered the world. But in the end, the curse will be ended, and our relationship to God, to the world, to other people, and even to ourselves will be restored to what it was meant to be all along. Thinking about these few verses and how they may apply to our lives, I wonder what your conceptions are of heaven. Do your conceptions of heaven come from the Bible, or do they come from popular culture? Because heaven won't be boring. It will be all the best parts of this world, only much, much better. It feels impossible to describe how incredible it's going to be. Secondly, I wonder, what are your plans when you get to your eternal home? We make plans for our time on earth all the time. Do you have plans for what you want to do in heaven? I know that here on this earth, I'm not going to get to explore every pocket of this world that I want to. I know that I don't experience all the good of this world because of my own sin. But man, am I excited to visit places I won't have time to visit here. I'm excited to see places that are currently war-torn, currently poverty-stricken, restored to their true glory. And it's funny that we conceive of heaven as boring, but we want to extend our lives here on earth as long as possible. We think it's so important to just make everything last as long as we can here, but then we think, man, being in heaven for eternity, that's going to be horrible. When we get to heaven, we are not going to be concerned about boredom nor death. We are going to get to explore God's wonderful creation forever, and we will never, ever stop enjoying it. That concludes our devotional for today. For more resources, please visit our website at www.dwellcc.org.